Good afternoon, everyone. This is the Doctor. It is another beautiful day out here in the Pacific Northwest. We love us nothing more like fall colors and stormy weather. Today, we're going to be talking about Genshin Impact, and I'm going to tell you guys why Genshin Impact is not a free-to-play friendly game. Many of you guys have probably played Genshin Impact and have probably been loving it. Personally, I myself have been a huge fan of Genshin Impact. However, I think there are some fundamental problems with the game that really make it so that you have to pay money in order to get the most out of the game, and we're going to talk about that right now. I think the most important part that we talk about is going to be the currency system. So most pulls, when you go to the pull screen, are done with these wishes or what we know as primo gems. Now, it takes about 160 primo gems to get a single pull, and you get 160 primo gems daily from logging in. And on the surface, that seems really generous, right? You think, okay, I get a free pull every day. That sounds wonderful. And then you kind of dive into the game, and Genshin Impact is a very front-loaded game. What I mean by that is that they hook you. They give you more than what a normal gacha game would give you. They give you a bunch of free characters. They give you, 40 free pulls. But there's a couple things built into that are designed to work against free-to-play players. Specifically, the reroll system. They don't want you rerolling. If they did, they would let you reroll earlier into the game. There are so many guides out there dedicated to Genshin Impact rerolling and getting the most for your money. It's terrible. I know for myself, I didn't want to reroll because I didn't want to do 20-minute speed runs until I completed my 40 rolls and, got the characters that I wanted and the right amount of dupes. And that's really what we're going to be talking about here is rerolls, dupes, monetization, because if you're a free-to-play player, you're not going to be getting duplicates at all. And there's even a level that you're probably not even going to get free pulls as a free-to-play player because it doesn't seem like they hand them out. And you can get a lot of currency by roaming around and opening the chests. And I can tell you guys, I have done all of that. As a content creator, I have gotten all of Geoculuses. I've gotten all of the Anemiculuses. I've completed all the quests. I'm currently almost AR rank 35. And the amount of currency that you start gaining substantially slows down. And the battle pass doesn't really make up for that. And in fact, I would argue the battle pass is not even the best investment for you because it only gives you like 4 pulls. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about, why aren't you going to be getting pulls as a free-to-play player? Well, part of it has to do with the Resin system. And if you aren't familiar with the Resin system, you get 120 Resin cap, and then it regenerates daily. And this seems like a standard NRG system, except there's a couple things that work against you here. In most gacha games, you are able to expand your expendable currency. That is not possible in Genshin Impact. There is no free resource for Resin. You can get some items when you complete missions and when you increase your adventure rank, but there's no standard like, hey, you can get 160 refill a day. There's no like daily missions. There are daily missions, but the daily missions don't give you Resin refilling items. And the best use actually of your primo gems for at least the first 150 is to refill your Resin by 120 so that you can do double the Resin events, because that's where you get drops. Once you've cleared out the world, That's where you farm items. That's where you're going to be doing sort of the end game content grind. And you need that resin. You need that resin more than you need the pulls from the free currency that's given to you. And so you're trapped in this loop as a free-to-play player where you're weighing, do I store my resin? Do I do pulls? Do I spend it on resin? What do I do? And of course, no matter what, you could make the argument, right, that I'm a free-to-play player, I'm just gonna store my primo gems and I'm just gonna wait. But you're not gonna be able to develop your characters the way you need to develop them if you're not spending that currency. While we have yet to see how the game is going to progress, it seems to me that it is going to progress in a very anti-free-to-play way. And I can't see anyone making severe progress in this game without spending money. Now, there are a couple other options for spending money, which people might think, hey, this is going to be a great deal, and I should probably buy the Blessing of the Welkin Moon. I should probably buy the, Battle Pass. And let's look at this. You get a total of 300 Genesis crystals, which they seem to say is a big deal. That's only 300 Primo Gems, right? That's literally, if you think about it, about 240 worth resin, if you're doing it optimally, or one single pull, because 300 of the paid currency does not get you 2 pulls. It only gets you 1 pull. And then you get a daily gift of 90 Primo Gems. So your daily Primo Gem sort of allowance is about 250. And you have to assume that 150 of that is going towards your resets. And they actually say right now that it's better to spend 250 resetting on the 100 twice than it is to just do the 50 and 100. So actually, just by buying the Blessing of the Welkin Moon, you're essentially just getting your daily resin refills. That's all you're getting. You're not getting enhanced Primo Gems. You're not getting extra pulls. And this doesn't even begin to put us into the next section of topic, which is the dupe system, which is Constellations, right? Now, your Constellations are what you unlock when you pull a duplicate of a character. And when I first started playing this game, I didn't fully understand how important Constellations were. You go down the list here, and you'll notice it says increasing the pulling speed of Gale Blade after holding for more than 1 second and increase the damage dealt by 40%. That's a huge increase in damage just by having one duplicate unit. That is a raw 40% damage increase if I am using Jean just for her E ability. Let's go ahead and go down the list here. When she picks up an elemental orb and particle, movement speed and attack speed increase by 15% for 15 seconds for all party members. Increase the level of Dandelion Breeze by 3. Maximum upgrade level is 15. What does this mean, right? When I saw this, I was like, oh, that doesn't sound like a big deal. It actually is a huge deal, because when you get further into the game, you can upgrade talents, and you can see that as your character progresses, you are not able to max the level of their talents unless you have those duplicates. So how powerful are the levels of those talents? It depends on the talents, but honestly, you are looking at a substantial percentage increase of damage on the character's abilities. Now, Xiangling, for example, you can see here that her abilities are in blue because I happened to just magically pull her entire constellation. So what this means is when Xiangling has an ability maxed out, she's going to be substantially stronger probably than some of my 5 stars. And right now she is stronger than a lot of my 5 stars. And you can see when I click on Pyronado, you can see if I go to level up here, that's a substantial increase in damage. You can see it says 7%. You can see that it says 10% here. The Pyronado damage itself is an increase of 11%. Now, if you can imagine that effect stacking with how many constellations you have, you could see upwards of a 30 to 40% damage difference if you have your constellations unlocked. Now, as of currently, There is no way to unlock the Constellations in this game without pulling a duplicate. I'll say that again. You have to pull a duplicate in order to max out the Constellations. In other similar gacha games, there are different methods to pull duplicates, and there's going to be items, for example, that you could pull that you could use that maybe you get a certain amount of them, right? For login rewards. Like maybe you get once per month where you could invest in any character's constellation board. That would be amazing. But there is nothing like that in Genshin Impact right now. And the fact that there's nothing like that means that free-to-play players are going to have an extremely hard time maxing out their constellations. All of the units that they give you in the game have to get their duplicates from either pulling or spending pulled currency. Even when you do one of their main quests, you do not get a constellation item for them. There's no way for you to change in Anemo seals for them. You can do them only for the main character as a way of leveling up the main character's constellation, and that's it. It's in these ways that they essentially force you to buy currency in Genshin Impact. Now, do I think that's a bad thing? I definitely do. I personally don't want to buy currency in this game. There's no reward for buying currency, and honestly, buying the currency for pulls is pretty generous, right? Essentially, what they're forcing you to do is to spend currency on pulls every time a new banner comes out, which is different than a lot of gacha games, right? Because in other gacha games, if you're free to play, you can just be like, okay, well, maybe I can still play the game and I can still invest in my account, but I can also store up for pulls. But you can't do both in Genshin Impact. And it's for this reason that I really hope we see some changes to the Genshin Impact free-to-play model. Now, we haven't seen the first substantial patch come out for Genshin Impact, so maybe this will change. And I have hopes that it'll change. However, for now, I would say Genshin Impact is one of the least friendly free-to-play games out there. And even though they bait you a lot, right? They basically make you a Thanksgiving dinner and they're like, come in, try it all. Play our game for 40 hours and get a ton of currency by exploring the world, opening up chests, doing quests. And then when you get to the end of that, the feast has become a bread trail. And that's essentially all Genshin Impact is right now. While I do love the game, I do want to warn those free-to-play players out there, this is something you should be aware of. And it's something where this game has substantial improvements it needs to make in order to be free-to-play friendly. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a great rest of your day.